Hi, my name is John. Welcome to another Sunday night nightcap. This is going to be the last nightcap of 2020 because obviously next Sunday is into the new year. Next Sunday into the new year it'll be the first draw of 2021. There's a few names here in already. I'm going to spend 5 or 10 minutes talking and I want to show some viewer mail. So if you don't want to hear me talking and you don't want to see some viewer mail, just fast forward 5 minutes and you'll get into the meaty stuff. I do some work on my milling machine, I do some plasma cutting, I make some little angle brackets to help us weld 1 or 2 pieces together that I have to make. 2020 has been a really strange year for everybody. The world's certainly a different place and I don't think it'll ever go back to the way it was, which might not be such a bad thing really. I've had a strange sort of year. I've been off work quite a lot, I've been furloughed and I've always just worked 5 days a week, you know, constantly. I've never known anything else. But I have spent quite a lot of time off work and I've spent quite a bit of time in the workshop. That's quite a lot happened family-wise this year. My dad, who's been in sheltered accommodation, he's had a couple of falls. He ended up in hospital. He's just come out of hospital and he's now gone into a full-time care home where he can be looked after properly. I'd like to say a massive thanks to everybody in the hospital and especially to the people at Julie House where he was sheltered accommodation. They really looked after him. They did a lot more than they're supposed to do or they need to do. Really, the job they do was unbelievable. I'm sure he's going to be happy where he is. He certainly sounded happy enough on the telephone. Tomorrow is actually Deb, my wife, it's her birthday. And believe it or not, she's actually 60-year-old. It's quite incredible where the time's gone. I'm when she was 20 and it's just gone. So make sure that your time doesn't just go. Every minute is precious. Believe me, it really is. Think about what you're doing. You know, try and. I'm not saying I've wasted the last 40 years. I've really enjoyed what I've done in the last 40 years. There's 1 or 2 things I would change, but in the whole, not a great lot. I'm quite happy with what I've got. Right, that's enough waffling on. Let's have a look and see what pure meals come in. This package turned up at work last week. I've opened it, I know what's in here. First thing we find is a Mr. 2-year box. The inside of here, couldn't get it open, is an electronic and an analog depth micrometer. I'm not quite sure what's the matter with it, but it's not working. So that's going to go to my friend Bob and be sorted out. I'm sure Bob will do that for me. It doesn't look like it's being used, to tell you the truth. All the rods are here for it, so that's something that will be I'll probably be keeping that when it gets sorted out. Right, next we've got a big roll of emery tape. Probably the least said about me and emery tape the better, but I do use quite a lot of emery tape. It's a Mr. 2-year dial indicator, DTI. Looks like it's got a 2-inch travel on. It's working fine, but it's a little bit notchy inside. I'm sure all that wants is cleaning. Once again, my friend Bob will be doing that. I have got something similar. So either this one or the one I've got similar I'll be giving away. This won't just be put in a drawer and forgotten about. Somebody or myself will get use from it. And then camouflage in the back of here. Manufactured in the UK. This is actually gauge plate. If you can see that on there, but it's got the technical spec on it, how you harden it. Real material. You don't see that very often. Packet's not sealed, so we'll have a look inside. Yeah, that is the real I-arm ground gauge plate. Used for making. My friend used to make springs for shotguns out of this sort of stuff. Sort and file it and then harden it. Very nice. I haven't got any, well, I've got one or two bits and pieces, but I haven't got a full length like that. As a lad used to come into the garage where I worked. He was a van delivery guy, but he was a retired engineer, and he still used to mess around at home with odds and ends. Unfortunately, he died last year, but his brother come in the other day with these items, wanting to know if I would like them, and his brother would like me to have them. Well, the first thing we find is an old bright chuck on a number 2 Morse taper. These are the Rolls Royce of chucks. It really is a class bit of material. I have got a couple of old bright chucks, but all my stuff's Morse taper 3. So instead of just stashing this away, I will give it away. Somebody will win this. They'll either use it, or hopefully they'll give it to somebody that can. So that's a lovely old bright chuck in real good condition. That there's no damage on the tang. A nice bit of kit. Next is a Jacobs chuck. Jacobs 34, 13mm, ½ inch. In good condition once again. It's even got a chuck key. And there's very little wear on the holes. The holes go up oval when they've been used a lot. So that's in good condition. I think I'll probably end up keeping this one to use on the lathe. A little carbide burr there. I use loads of them. Right, next little box. ½ inch ball nose milling cutter, BSP brand new, Clarkson. .5/16 milling cutter, once again, brand new. I know the lad used to go to car boot sales. I've seen him at car boot sales. And we used to kind of follow each other around, sometimes buying odds and ends. Nice centre there. More taper sleeve. Number 2 to number 3. Brand new, incredibly sharp ½ inch milling cutter. Another ½ inch milling cutter. I'll probably give one of them away and keep one. Anyway, Jimmy, I hope you're watching this, and I really appreciate having these tools. Right, the next items, I had a lad come round. I did some plasma cutting for him. Cut him a plasma motorbike rider out, and he's dropped these tools in for us. That's a right hand tool. I have got tips to fit that one, and that will go into my tool holders. So that's the one that John will be keeping. This one, I've also got tips for it, but it's too big for my tool holder. What I may do was cut a dovetail in there so I can use it, or I may give it to a friend who can use big tooling. Right, then we've got this batty. It's a bore gauge that appears to have done a lot of work. I mean, that's seen a lot of action, that. It does sort of work, but it's sticky. I think I'm going to give it to Bob, and if Bob wants to spend some time on it, which I'm sure he will, doing it up, it would be a lovely tool to give to somebody. It's not something I would use. There's a selection of pins here, 9/16, up to inch and a 16th, inch and an 8th. As it does go quite big, it goes up to inch and 7/16 bore size. Like I say, to wear something that, you know, that's been used constantly. Well, I can tell a few stories. There is one or two more bits and pieces, but I think that's enough for this week. I'll do the rest of it next week. This is a filter housing that I'm going to modify to make a water trap for my plasma table. I need to make two adapters to go from that thread there, which is 1/2 inch BSP parallel, to go down to 3/8 BSP internal taper thread. I have got some adapters that will screw in, but that taper thread, and this is parallel, I don't want to force them into there. That's designed for a parallel thread fitting. So I have got a piece of super brass. I've got a 1/2 inch BSP tap. It's a die joint. Taps round, straight, dies have got holes in them. Anyway, two adapters to make for this little project, which is going to be a separate video altogether. Tool's not quite on centre height. To go up a Fanny's hair. It's better. We need this turned down to, I think it's 21mm. I've got a fit in here. Yep, 21mm. Put a nice lead on for the die to start on. This is the die we're going to use. 1/2 inch BSP, it's a split die, it's got a split in there. Now what I've done, I've wound the screw right in so the die is fully open, so it'll cut a tight thread, and then we can see what sort of fit it is, and we can adjust it from there. And use a tailstock just to hold it nice and square up against the job. What you do is put the chuck key in there and use the chuck key to pull the vise round. Even this will probably be frowned upon somewhere, but it's the way I've always done it and I haven't had any problems. There handle, so the die handle touched the clumsy bastard. The die handle touches the carriage like that, and we can gently wind it in. Like that. Obviously what you're not going to do is try welding that, because it'll end up in tears. Right, we'll back it off and see what sort of threads we've got. And they look good. A little bit tight, so we'll adjust the die to make them just like our threads. All we do is back bastard thing. Loosen off that one, which is the adjuster bolt. Tighten these two up, and these will close up the die. And we'll give it another whirl, so to speak. That's better. Right, so that screws into there quite nicely. Normally I would carry on and do the same operations on the second one, because I've already got all the machine set up. But in this case, I don't want to grip the threads because it'll damage it, and there isn't that much brass to get a hold of. I may have a 1/2 inch BSP fitting. I can screw that into, mount that in the chuck and machine it that way. Right, unfortunately I haven't got a box of fittings. I did have a big box of steel BSP pipe fittings, and I've lent them to somebody, and I don't know who I've lent them to, but they haven't come back. So if you've got them, bring them back. Right. I'll just show that from the other angle because it's certainly worth watching. All it is a bearing on the end of a piece of steel. Bring it in, it simply pushes it nice and true. Certainly true enough for a airline fitting. All I want to do is just break the corners. Like that. Always looks a lot better. What we'll do is tighten the chuck up, John. This is definitely a little bit more than straightforward brass. Brass doesn't make swarf like that normally. It's not the right colour for brass. It's definitely not brass that. Brass is normally worked dry, but a little bit of cutting oil can't do any harm. Plenty of threads in there. Just going to face that and take that nasty rag off there. Right, that's it. Three taper, that's just what I needed. It goes from the airlines, which are all 3/8, into that filter. Right, and these parts should all clip together to form a right angle welding jig. That's the idea of the exercise. That one goes in there. Right, so it all slots together like that, and when it's slotted together it's quite strong. That's pretty good, Dad. In fact, it's very good. I think I'll fire the TIG up and put some tacks of weld onto it. Right, that's it all welded together. It's immensely strong when it's put together. Just a flat wheel now and knock those welds down and it'll be quite a handy tool. I've cut a few out. If anybody wants one, just give us a shout. Flat pack's going to be easier for me, but I could weld them up and ship them out. If you want one, send us an email.